How can you grow if you don't know where you are? Welcome to Number Compass, where we use numbers for direction and to reveal your next steps to growing your business. Hi, I'm Candus, and in today's episode, we're going to be talking about how your reports must tell a story. And if you are not looking at them this way after this episode, you are going to be like, oh my gosh, what are my reports really telling me? Because your reports are your guide to making decisions. We're going to be talking about how to segment, what to be looking for, and much more. So let's jump in. So earlier I was talking about a one-pager where you, as a business owner, or if you are a bookkeeper, a team member, you're creating a profit and loss in one page. Now, there are more than just your profit and loss when we're talking about reports. Your profit and loss is giving you a clear narrative of what's happening. You have a balance sheet, which is your assets, what you own, your liabilities, who you owe, and your equity, what is exactly happening in your business year over year. Are you putting money in? Are you taking money out? What's happening? And then you have your statement of cash flow. Your statement of cash flow tells you your liquidity. Where is your money going? How much do you have? Is it flowing in? Is it flowing out? And what is happening? So often when I talk to business owners and we start looking at reports, one of the things that I notice is that you're not sure, and let me know if this is you. You can always email me at support@Kampfer or reach out to me in DMs. But I want to know, when you're looking at your profit and loss, have you started customizing it yet? You want to be thinking about your business. And for an example, I was recently working with someone, a Commerce QuickBooks student, and they had a commercial business and residential. They were in construction. They had always done residential, but they decided to add in commercial. And I said, okay. And she goes, how do I design this? And I said, well, let's think of it this way. Would it be helpful for you and your husband to know how much of your work is coming in as residential type of work, how much is coming in commercial, what the profitability is of each of these jobs? And she was like, yes, because what she had done, and maybe what you've done as well, is she just had one income account. So yes, we want a one-page report, which I talked about in a prior episode, but you also want to be thinking about, what do I need to know to tell me the story of what's happening in my business, right? And so when you look at it, you want to be thinking, what are my profitable trends? What are the jobs that are profitable? So you're not lumping everything together in one place. Now, as I always say, you want to keep it one page long. The cool thing is with QuickBooks, there's lots of different reports, right? I talked about there's the profit and loss, there's the balance sheet, there's a statement of cash flow, there's another report, which is one of my favorites. I teach this on my Customizing QuickBooks workshop, but it's about how to just look at your sales. Where's your money coming in? What percentage of your sales? And that is depending on if you're desktop or online, but it's sales by either product and service, if you're an online user, sales by items, if you're a desktop user. The reason you want to pull this report is because it tells you the percentage of sales for the different services you offer. So yes, we want to keep your profit and loss super simple, so it's big buckets, but then you add these additional reports to give you more detail. And you might be thinking, why? Because you might want to say, I want to grow my business, right? That's the whole point of having a company, is so you can serve more people. And yes, we all have to be profitable to be able to stay in business. But if you came to me and you said, Candace, what is our highest product or service that we're selling? You may or may not know that just by looking at your profit and loss, because you might be using bigger buckets, which is perfect. But this additional report, if you're using invoices or sales receipts, it will tell you when you're tracking your income. There's 3 ways in QuickBooks. Invoices is one, sales receipts is a second, and going straight to your income category is the third. When you use certain features in QuickBooks, you'll get different reports. Okay, so invoices or sales receipts will give you the sales by item or the sales by product and service report. And so you start looking at this and you'll say, okay, this is where the most of our services are or our products are sold. And then you can double down on that. And then you can see how profitable you are by looking at your profit and loss. So you start using these different reports to tell a story, to say, what is exactly happening? Now, one of the things that you want to do is when you start looking at your profit and loss, you don't just want to look at the story for the last 30 days. That is one piece, or this year, but you also want to look in comparison to last year and multiple years. So that's actually another really cool tip that I want to give you, is sometimes people think, I got to start my QuickBooks file over every year. No, you want to keep one file going year after year after year. And you start pulling a profit and loss, and you can compare years. You can compare quarters, and you can see what is the trend, what is the story that your reports are telling you about your business. Where are you traditionally at this time, especially if your business tends to have trends? If your business, January to April is really busy, or the summer is really busy, or the fall is really busy. Every business has its seasons. Most businesses aren't exactly the same every single month, right? And so when you start looking at your reports, you can compare month over month, year over year, and you can start looking at percentages. There's a feature in QuickBooks where you can include the percentage of growth so you can get more about what's happening. And you want to start looking at this and saying, what are the trends? What is the data? One, that I'm entering to QuickBooks, and then what does my reports tell you? Because as good as the data you enter is as good as your reports will be. I heard one of my students say that, and I'm like, oh, it is so true. Because if you're putting a bunch of junk into your QuickBooks, if you don't know how to optimize your QuickBooks, you don't know which features to be using, if you don't know, for example, the invoice versus sales receipt, if you're using bills, if you're using bank feeds, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, you definitely want to go to my Customizing QuickBooks workshop, because we start talking about this. Because so often you don't start with what I call the end in mind. You just start using all the features, but you don't know if they're giving you what you need. So I digress. We'll talk about that more in a future episode. But we want to just think about, what is the narrative your reports are giving you? Okay. So what I want you to do is pull your reports. If you don't think that you can summarize exactly what has happened in your business over the last 30 days in a few sentences, like, this is what I know our trends are, then that's the work to be done. Because if you don't know what's happening, if you're just guessing, if you're just trying to wing it, you could be going in the wrong direction. The blessing to reports, but sometimes the curse, is they're very black and white if you've gone in and created them properly to tell you exactly what's happening in your business. And when you look at it, you can go, oh, that's the pivot I want to make. Or that's where we're doing the most products and services. Let's double down on that. That's where the job's profitable. That's where we're spending money I didn't even know I was spending because I got so busy working in my business, right? So you want to step back, especially if you're the owner, and say, what's actually happening? Am I running down the right track or am I not? That's what reports are telling you. They're giving you the story of what's happening. Where is your profitability and what pivots to be making next? Let me know if that makes sense. And if you haven't already saved your seat, you've heard me talk about it probably a few times at this point. My Customizing QuickBooks workshop is all about showing you what QuickBooks can do and saying, stop wasting time using features you don't need to be doing. Because every feature in QuickBooks gives you different results. And depending on what you want to make decisions will depend on what features you want to be using. And in our next episode, we're going to be talking about job costing a little bit more, like what to be looking for. We're going to take this conversation to the next level, some reports to be pulling and things to be considering when you want to see how profitable it is, whether you have a construction company or you have a service-based business. Let's dive in and understand your reports at even a deeper level. And if you haven't, as I was mentioning, saved your seat yet to our Customizing QuickBooks workshop, visit CandusCampfer.com/class. Can't wait to see you there. Have an amazing day. I'll see you in the next episode.